Hi guys, Darth Deuce here, back on the Star Wars The Vintage Collection action figure review. Today, taking a look at a interesting entry into the Vintage Collection line. It is the Star Wars Boba Fett Death, Lies, and Treachery comic art edition Boba Fett that I think in the States is exclusive to Target, and up here in Canada you can find this at Toys R Us. I found this on the pegs. It was the last one on the pegs actually. And as far as I know, it's all available on their website right now as well. But yeah, an interesting figure. It is, as far as I can tell, and we'll do a comparison, but as far as I can tell, it is pretty much just a repaint of the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett we got a number of years ago now, honestly. It's we've had it for a while, which is kind of crazy to think of. But yeah, there's a few other, I think, comic versions. There's another comic one that's available that wasn't there. I was gonna maybe pick it up if it was there, but it wasn't. Um, but take a quick look at the card back and the patching, because I feel like this is one that a lot of people might actually want to keep on the card. But you've got the figure there, and then you've got some comic art, which I think looks really good. Or I like the picture they use anyways, a good, pretty full image of Boba. And I also like how they use like the actual like title art of for the card label, as opposed to just using like the generic vintage collection text. I think that's pretty cool. And on the back, there's just other figures you can get. They did a vintage style of this mold, and they also did another vintage comic style of this mold. I never got my hands on the vintage Boba Fett based on the Kenner figure. I don't even know if that's like still like available to get. I'd pick it up if I found it, but and this one I might get if I find it at some point. I'm not sure. But this is based on a comic book from the 90s that I have not fully read. I did check it out. I've not fully read it. But I wanted to get this one because it's the same artist that does the art on the Dark Empire trilogy of comics. And that comic is notorious for having not great art. I'll be honest, this artist's style of drawing is really weird. The way they do the colors for these looks really odd. I won't lie, but I have kind of a sentimental connection to it because Dark Empire is one of the first like Star Wars comics I ever read. So I kind of have a some sentimentality towards that artwork. And even though this Boba Fett isn't specifically from Dark Empire, Boba Fett does appear in Dark Empire, and he's drawn basically just like this. So this is also kind of like a Dark Empire Boba Fett. Anyways, I rambled on long enough. Even though this does look good on the card, I was kind of tempted to keep it on the card. I am going to crack this open, so we'll take a close look at the figure. Now I got the figure out of the packaging, and it's pretty cool. Although, if you have that original, any version of this mold, you know exactly what you're getting here. Because the only difference is the paint job is different, and he does not have the soft goods cape this version. But it looks nice. The cell shaded figures, you know, I don't usually go for them. They're kind of gimmicky. It's like if you like them, then that's cool. And I think sometimes the cell shading figures that are painted to be cell shaded can look pretty cool. And sometimes it can not look cool, I guess. But I think here it does look pretty nice. They've got kind of like it's bare on this side, and then they got the cell shading to make it look like it's a bit shadowed on the other side. I think that's cool. I just like the colors. This nice like armor, almost like plastic army men green looks very cool. The different shading of the black and then the lighter blues look nice. And then the lighter blues alongside this green and these yellows really stand out. It's quite a standout figure. The sculpt is great. I mean, this figure, this mold is very well sculpted. Looks very accurate. The helmet sculpt is pretty much bang on. Unfortunately, no moving rangefinder. This was before they started making that pretty much standard thing on Mandalorian figures. He does have the little Wookiee braids, which is cool. They're just pegged in there. Yeah, okay. Those are still there. You could actually unpeg this and take this off if you want to, I think. But then you got the yellow. The Mandalorian Mythosaur on this side is painted very cleanly. That looks good. Got the gauntlets looking pretty nice. Some more of that cell shading on the belt there and on the cod piece. And you got the pants and some more of that shading on the knee guards. Got like these almost purplish, very dark purple boots. They're kind of interesting. Jetpack has a bunch of different colors going on. It is removable, of course. It is a separate accessory. So you can take that off if you want. No removable missile though. but it does attach pretty securely. It's not going to fall off, which is nice. And yeah, not too much to say. It's just a good looking Boba Fett if you're a fan of this look. And I think it does add something pretty unique to the Boba Fett collection, that's for sure. Articulation wise, he's got the same articulation this mold's had. He's got the dumbbell joint at the neck. It's got pretty good range of motion. Shoulders move really well, and the shoulder pads are on flexible plastic. They'll move out of the way. Single hinges at the elbows go a bit past 90, which is good, and the cables don't get in the way. They've got enough slack and they're soft enough where they shouldn't break. I've never had my original Return of the Jedi one break anyways. Swivels at the wrist, as well as up and down hinge at the trigger hand. And at both hands actually have the up and down hinge. Torso joint moves okay. He does have the old style of hip hinges where you have to rotate them and then pull them forward to get forward motion, and then swivel cut the thigh to be able to manipulate them. Not better than swivel, but I'm definitely glad we've moved past this mode of articulation for 3 3/4 inch figures, because it's not particularly fun for posing, I will be honest. And actually, I'm just noticing now, mine hip joints on mine actually look a bit messed up here. I gotta realign them. There we go. Oh, that looks more correct. But yeah, swivel cuts at the thigh, single hinges at the knees that go about 90, and then single hinges at the ankles with rockers. So good articulation. Again, like I said, some dated engineering, but it's not too bad. He still has most of the articulation that you would expect. And in terms of accessories, you already saw the jetpack. He does also come with the Empire Strikes Back loadout of weapons. You do get this pistol. They're both cast in like the same like really dark bluish purple that the boots and some of the other details are on the figure. This is, I assume, a straight reuse from the old Empire Strikes Back vintage collection Boba Fett and like the Legacy one and all those ones we got before. And then you also get the Empire Strikes Back style rifle, which again I assume is reuse. Unfortunately, there is no holster on this mold, so he can't holster the pistol, which is a little annoying. And he only has one trigger finger hand. But you can get him to hold the pistol, and that looks good. Or you can get him to hold the rifle, and that looks good as well. And if you want to, it has the little sling or whatever. You could throw that over his shoulder if you wanted. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot to talk about. It's just a reuse, just a repainted figure pretty much. But I think it's a cool one. And quickly, I'll just do a real quick comparison here. I'm just trying to get them situated. There's the comic one. And here's the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. You can definitely tell. Huge difference in colors, but they are pretty much the same figure. Although this one does have the cape. This one does not. But yeah, you can see the difference there. But overall, I think this is a good figure. It's a repaint of a pretty good mold. It's a Boba Fett figure. It's going to be popular because of that. Would I recommend it? I will say this figure is hard to recommend because it's an exclusive. It is at the exclusive price point. I don't know what the translation is in USD, but in Canada it is $31.99. That's almost the price of a full-size Black Series mainline figure. And for a vintage collection figure that has no new tooling and only is repainted, it's a pretty big money pill to swallow, I won't lie. I got mine a little cheaper because Toys R Us is doing like a grand opening event, and they think it was like 10% off everything in the store pretty much. So I got a little bit of money off there, but it was only like $3, so it was still pretty expensive for this figure. So I'd really only recommend it if you're a really big Boba Fett fan and you want to get all the Boba Fett figures, and or if you really like this look for Boba Fett, this cel-shaded comic look, I would recommend picking it up if that's the case, but otherwise it is an easy pass and I wouldn't worry too much about it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video. May the Force be with you.